Hey guys, welcome back to the Pausing Porn podcast. I'm Mark, and this is day 6 of the 7-day micro series. Each day I'm sharing short, practical information to support your recovery. Let's begin. You guys are listening to this podcast for a reason, right? I'm sure it's not just to hear the sound of my beautiful voice. You guys want to gain a life free from porn, and you listen to this podcast as a resource to help you achieve this goal. Have you ever thought what life will be like once you're able to gain a life free from porn, though? Maybe some of you have, maybe some of you haven't. I'm sure all of you in your recovery communities have seen posts about it. I remember reading some bizarre posts where people talk about the superpowers that they received when they're able to hit a 90-day streak. And I would always wonder, and probably a lot of you guys, is the same going to happen to me? In this episode, I'll share my top 3 benefits to gaining a life free from porn. The first thing I want to mention and get clear is the effects will vary. I'm going to give an example, but with alcohol instead, with 2 made up people. We'll call them Alex and Adam. So, Alex, he drinks a few times a night a week. On Saturdays, he drinks a little bit more, maybe 6 to 7 drinks. And Mondays and Wednesdays, he has a couple beers after work. And then we have Adam. Adam drinks 7 days a week. On his weekends, he drinks from the moment he wakes up until he goes to sleep. And on weekdays, he drinks from the moment he gets home until he goes to sleep at night. Now imagine both Alex and Adam stop drinking alcohol. Which one do you think, when they stop drinking alcohol, will have a greater effect on their life? Is it Alex or Adam? It's definitely Adam. If Adam is going every single day drinking, binge drinking, and he gains a life free from alcohol addiction, his life is going to change dramatically. For Alex, he's definitely going to reap the benefits, for sure. But in comparison, there's going to be a lot of differences to Adam. That's what I first want to mention before I explain my top 3 benefits, is I think everyone's are going to be pretty unique to themselves. Sure, there's going to be common benefits 100%, but each person has their own unique lives, and porn plays a different role in everyone's life. Okay, first, I want to talk about the effects it had when I gained a life free from porn on my mental health. Drastic. It was a game changer, guys. First, I'll tell you my old morning routine, actually, so you can get a grasp of how someone living like this might feel. Years ago, I would wake up. First thing I would do is smoke a cigarette. Then I would pop an Adderall or a Vyvanse. I would watch porn. I would take a shower. I would get an iced coffee. And then I would go off on the day, either to university or to work. I would get home and do the same thing. I was in constant stimulation, constantly battling between these highs and lows in the days. And my mental health was an absolute wreck. I felt shame, anxiety, brain fog, periods of depression, loneliness, and the list goes on. Now, once I was able to gain a life free from porn, I'm living a life within my values. I'm living a grounded life. I'm living one where I don't need these terrible systems to cope with, and I've replaced it with healthier habits. Sure, I still have anxiety flare ups that come from time to time. Maybe I feel lonely once in a while, but I don't deal with shame anymore. And I have ways to deal with everything that comes up away from pornography. That is the most important part. I didn't just stop watching porn. I created new ways to cope with life. Okay, now second, I'm going to mention my friendships. And truly, I had nowhere to go but up. Like genuinely. Porn made me isolate so much. And also the shame, I felt I couldn't open up to make friendships because of it. For that reason, I lost many friendships over the course of my relationship with pornography. Then, as I started to gain a life free from porn, I started getting back out there, making new friendships, talking to people that I didn't talk to for a while. And at one point in my recovery, I remember I just felt this craving for human connection. It's like the first time I ever felt that. And it makes sense why I did. I've been living as a passenger, watching my life go by for so long. And once I got a taste of real experiences, building friendships, having true connection with other men that I can get along with, I started craving that more and more. Now, the third thing I'm going to mention is kind of a given, but you don't realize the impact until you actually can experience it. And that's the time I get back in my life once I'm able to gain a life free from porn. It's a given, I know. But when I think of it, I mean, the amount of hours I would allocate to porn in a given week was crazy. Some of these binges would be 4 hours plus, multiple times a week. You're getting back dozens of hours to yourself every single week. And what you do with that, that's the beautiful thing, it's up to you. For myself, I started this podcast with one of my friends who's going to be joining in a couple months. And we're looking to be a beacon for everyone going through porn addiction to be able to help as many people as we can recover. But aside from that, I now have time for my physical health, going on runs, going to the gym, focusing on nutrition, developing my relationships with friends and family. Guys, you get so much time back and it's beautiful. You can actually live a life now. Before I felt I would have work and porn. Now I have time for hobbies. I can sit down and watch a movie now. It's beautiful to get that time back because once it's in your hands, it's your choice what you want to do with it. I hope this episode got you thinking. What are some things that you'll experience once you're able to gain a life free from porn, or once you're making some solid progress gaining a life free from porn? I hope it made you excited. That is it for today's episode. So thank you for tuning into the Pausing Porn podcast today. I have the last micro episode of this series coming out tomorrow, so make sure to tune back in then. Have a good night, guys.